Hey everybody, this is Prince's friend. I want to take a moment just to thank everybody who's coming over to the channel and really checking out the reviews here. We've gotten a lot more subscribers. We're over 1,700 now, and I think that we can keep this trucking along. So thank you to everybody who subscribed, and thank you to everybody who is participating in the conversations and the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you like what we're doing here. So this review is going to be for Livin in the New Wave by Andre Cymone, which was released in 1982. Again, the same year as The Times, What Time Is It?, Vanity 6's Vanity 6, and Prince's 1999. This is just a lot that's going on in 1992. The first thing that I noticed when I was jumping into doing this review for this album is that there is actually not a lot of information on the internet. I couldn't find lyrics, so I just had to listen really hard. There were, I wasn't able, it was really hard to find information on this album or on any of the individual tracks themselves. So I hope that this is just as informative, even though I had a lot less to go on. So Andre Cymone, his real name is Andre Simon Anderson, and his stage name, Andre Cymone, is a play off of his middle name, Simon Simone. He used to play with Prince in his pre-Revolution days, not just Dirty Mind, but he was with him since For You, and even before For You, when they were in a band called Grand Central, which then changed its name to Champagne later on. And in that band, he played beside Prince and Morris Day. You know, he's had a lot of exposure to Prince and Morris and all of these other things. So he and Prince actually have had a lot of the same, influences and a lot of the same experiences. So apparently there was some sort of fallout between him and Prince. I think this actually had a lot to do with that, honestly, because, I wasn't able to find any quotes to corroborate this, but I feel like Andre likely saw what was going on at the time and really didn't like it. He didn't like the fact that the people were being manufactured by Prince. I said in the Times review that it was kind of a dick move for Prince to kind of do that. I feel like Andre Cymone also thought that. Because he's a multi-instrumentalist and he's a songwriter and he's got his own stuff. He, probably felt that he was just as much a musician as Prince was. There is word that there was a falling out because he felt like he wasn't getting as much credit for some of the stuff that he was doing. Everything was still being attributed to all Prince, even though he says that he had a say and influence into some of the things that were going on in Prince's earlier albums. So, of course, they had their fallout in 1981, and then he went on to do a solo album on his own terms, and Prince even wrote a song later on after they reconciled, but not for this album. So this one's all him. He's got other people on there too, but it's primarily Andre Cymone. On What Time Is It?, which was the Time's second album, there was a track where during the song they said, "We hate the new wave," and I kind of made a joke. I was just like, well, I guess the Time is created to hate new wave and Prince hates hippies, and I guess that's just how it's going to be. But then I found out about this album, and I'm like, oh man, that was a direct stab at Andre Cymone. We hate the new wave, and he's basically saying, we hate you. So that's pretty crazy that he would do that. But yeah, he wanted to go off and do a solo album. I commend him for it, honestly. I think it mixes the fledgling New Age movement, because it was still very new at the beginning of the 80s. But I think it mixes in a lot of the funkiness and stuff that he obviously learned and cultivated by playing with Prince for so many years. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, and we'll go over the tracks. So the first track is Livin in the New Wave, and I dug this first track actually because I'm a fan of interesting like hooks, interesting melodies, which this song has. And it's a song about Andre taking the reins of his own life and making it happen his way, which is very indicative of the story of Andre Cymone. There's some actually really kind of funky guitar on this track, and I think it's probably the best track on the whole album. And the song does a really good job of really mixing the Minneapolis and the new wave sound. It was the first single off of the album, and with good reason, because it's the best one on there. It actually debuted on the charts in the same week as the Times 777 9311. It didn't get as high. It didn't even crack the top 70, but it was high enough for some good competition, and I think that Andre Cymone should have been able to pat himself on the back for that. Kelly's eyes, Kelly's eyes, Kelly's eyes, Kelly's eyes, pretty girl, oh so fine. Kelly's Eyes was the second single off of the album, and it actually, I think the problem that I have with it is that it sounds like every other popular new wave song that was kind of out around the same time in 1982. So it's good because it feels familiar, but also isn't that great because all you're doing is thinking about other songs, which you already know, and that might be better. So the lyrics follow him as he meets a girl at one of his shows, and then he dreams about her. Her eyes haunt him in his dreams. She'll complete his life if he's able to get her, and she eventually gets with him. So happy ending, I guess. Then he throws out all the romance at the end, and he just says, "I gotta get in your underwear." So he just jumps right into the sex, and I just told you the whole song. Like, the lyrics are very literal. Everything I just said, he says. So I'm not finding meaning in here. All I need is you. All I need is you, baby. Track 3 is All I Need Is You. And I think it's going for being a ballad, but it's actually kind of similar to Got a Broken Heart Again off of Prince's Dirty Mind. In that it's actually mid-tempo instead of it being an actual slow song. And I feel like it was, he was really, really channeling Prince here to kind of get this track down. He even goes into his falsetto a couple of times, which isn't his strong suit, but he does it anyway. So I really feel like he was really channeling Prince. It's actually a pretty solid song, straightforward. I think it's worthy of a love mixtape. So yeah, I think this one's a good one. Can't you see I'm going through? So Trouble is another track that has a great beat, and it really mixes the Minneapolis sound with the new wave. Really, really good. He does actually a really good job of that throughout the album, but there are a few songs that are just really, really good at it. Lyrically, he talks about being in trouble a lot and how there's nobody ever around to help him. Now, this may be a reflection of his feud with Prince, perhaps, or it could just be, random lyrics that he wrote down. I mean, who even knows? The chorus kind of dips into making it just a party song, though. So, like, grab each other by the hand, and does everybody feel that, and stuff like that. So, I mean, it feels like the chorus kind of undercuts whether this was supposed to be serious or not in terms of the lyrics, but it's funky. Aw, get it, girl. Alright, so Get It Girl. Get It Girl is probably the most 80s song on the track, on the album. It's got the 80s staple robotic voice on it, and it's entirely created with computers. It's another straightforward song. This girl's so cool, and she doesn't need money, she doesn't need a car, she doesn't need anything else, she just needs to dance, and Andre Cymone chants, "Get it, girl!" And it gets me imagining like the baddest breakdancer like in the world. Like if you listen to the song, like you could see, should have been in Breakin', is what I'm saying. The song should have been in Breakin'. The problem with it is that it is super dated. Like the whole album is kind of dated, but this song, like it almost makes it hard to listen to with today's kind of musicality involved. So it's just weird. I think one of the cool things about Prince's music, to digress a little bit over to Prince, is that you could put on any of his albums and it kind of has this kind of timeless element to them. But this track, not so much. Baby, don't go. You know you love me too. Baby, don't go. We belong together. So the first real ballad on the album, Baby Don't Go, Andre does a good job of being soft and tender on the album. It definitely shows that he can actually sing, and it's not all just hype. The rest of the songs have been kind of party-ish, so a really good voice hadn't actually been necessary up until this track. So he falls in love with the girl quickly, but she falls out of love just as quickly, and he doesn't want her to go. It's a short track and stays pretty literal the whole time. Andre Cymone is begging her by the end, and it's quite convincing, and he's got, a little bit of screechiness in there, but it's still sort of a forgettable track, so, Girl was so fine, there was a lot that she could show me. She wears a dresses. So as the name would suggest, So Fine is about a girl that's so fine. So fine that he needed to write a song about her. She's all mine 'cause she's so fine is one of the lyrics, and I think that's at the root of this song. I think this song could have been for the time, 'cause it's that basic superficialness in its execution. Musically, it's another funky groove. It mixes Prince-like melodies with the new wave music. It's very, very danceable. I think that had they released this one as a single, I think it probably would have gone onto the dance charts much, much higher. Fell in love with a voice on the radio. Oh, girl. So I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, I think. A Voice on the Radio is about him falling in love with the voice on the radio and crooning about how he would love to meet the girl that the voice belongs to and all the things he would do with her if he could. I don't know, it's probably at the bottom of the track lists in terms of appeal, in my opinion, but I don't know if it's really even the song's fault. It kind of runs together with the song before it and after it, and becomes kind of forgettable. And of course, it's like it just falls into the same kind of boringness of just the song being so straightforward that it doesn't make you think at all. Ritz Club, Ritz Club. I had to stop and really stare. Ritz Club, Ritz Club. And the Ritz Club is the last track. The album finale, it's pretty good. He basically gets invited to the Ritz Club, and he follows a girl there, and it's a secret club that only a few can get into. Everyone's in their own world in the Ritz Club. Like, you could be having sex on the floor, and no one would blink. Again, that's not me inferring anything. That's a lyric. I think that this song is kind of in a stark contrast to the kind of song like Uptown, where Prince kind of sings about a place where all the people are coming together and everybody's harmonious and stuff. In the Ritz Club, they're all together, but they're all separated by their own self-involvement. So I wonder if this might have been a reflection of his breaking from Prince again. I could be wrong, but I'm just, trying to think of different interpretations based on the context, since, again, there was very little for me to go on online. I mean, in the end, it's not a bad way to end the album, but it didn't blow me away either. So in conclusion, I think if you take each song individually, they're actually really well constructed. The lyrics, though, are 99% literal, without any metaphor, without any imagery, and I like to see those things in my music that I listen to. Well, like I said, like to hear those things. I can't see. So I always like songs that have like double meanings and stuff like that. So this album is devoid of that. Sadly, a lot of the songs run together because he's using a lot of the same techniques to make all of the songs, whereas Prince kind of uses real instruments and keyboards, and each piece of it is a piece of the puzzle, whereas Living in a New Age uses keyboards as 80% of the puzzle, and then kind of throws other instruments in for the other 20%. But it's so 80s feeling, and because of the computers and stuff, with lots of beep boops and all that stuff throughout the whole album, like little computer sounds, which again, it really kind of dates this album. I think overall, it's good. It's dated. It's nothing spectacular, but really, it's a solid album. So, what did you think of Andre Cymone's "Livin' in the New Wave"? Let's discuss in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video and want to see more reviews. May you live to see the dawn.